Hey everyone, and welcome to the first XI. Obviously, tonight is grounded football. Excuse my dog, she's being a bit of a fiend. But tonight we've got a really good panel on. Obviously, Latimer's Prime. We've got Will
Hi.
from KH No Football, along with Andrew from KH No Football. We've got Nuruddin, who's always a pleasure to speak to, Mr. Structure. We've got Husam from This Is Football, and we've got Steve from Football Focused. How's everyone doing?
Yeah,
Doing good.
Doing good.
Good stuff.
Got a Champions League final to win.
Yeah, quite a few talking points today, but let's just dig right into it. Actually, start off with the top four. Obviously, Liverpool played today, back into the top four with a 4-0 win in the end, wasn't it, over Burnley? So good result for you guys. So we'll start off with Hassam and Steve. Obviously, they're Liverpool supporters. So how do you guys feel about the game and obviously the result?
You want to start, Steve, or I start?
You go, mate. You go.
Man, this game against the club, I have a personal vendetta against the club I hate. I can't stand their manager. I can't stand Burnley Football Club. I hope they get relegated. That's genuinely how I feel about that club. But at the end of the day, 3 points is what matters. I think the game in terms of football, like for spectators, wasn't that good. Turf Moor itself wasn't that excited, I think. They're probably just booing. Like it was just like so annoying to watch as well. Like a player could just pass to the other guy and then Burnley fans be like, boo. Like I was like, oh my God. But at the end of the day, we scored 3 goals. Oxlade-Chamberlain scored as well, a player I really like. I actually want him to start, etc. I think Mane getting an assist, Nat Phillips scoring a goal and having a goal line clearance as well. Brilliant stuff today. At the end of the day, 3 points is what matters at this time in the season. Obviously, 90 minutes left to go, 90 minutes, and we're in the Champions League where we deserve to play, where we belong in. Obviously, the English club with the most Champions League titles, we only deserve to play there. We don't deserve Europa League football. So I'm happy. I'm very happy. Hopefully, 90 minutes against Palace, we do the same. We win the game and we just cement that top 4 place.
Oh, that's fair enough. What about you, Steve? How are you feeling?
How do you follow that? That's what I'm thinking. Right, it wasn't a great game tonight. It wasn't pretty. But the 3 points is the most important thing. Nat Phillips was man of the match by a country mile. I thought some of the players we were expecting big things of were quiet. Mo Salah didn't play particularly well. Tarkowski and Ben Mee played him really, really well today. They both had very strong performances, and you can see why other clubs are looking at those two guys, because I think they're good centre halves. So on to Sunday, obviously Palace at home. Palace got nothing to play for other than to say goodbye to Roy Hodgson. Is that enough for them to come to Anfield and put in a performance? Or with having the fans in the ground and back at Anfield with the fans again on the day that it is and what it means to the club, is probably big enough to get Liverpool over the line and get Liverpool over the line well. I mean, the loss of Eze is massive to Palace because it didn't start particularly quickly, but it certainly featured in the second half of the season quite strongly for them. And I wish him well and hope his injury heals up and comes back sooner rather than later. It looks like quite a long one. But that's to our benefit that he's not there. So, you have to look at these things and say, we'll take that. We'll take that all day. I don't think I could honestly say we have a divine right to be in the Champions League. I think it's a madness that with 22 central defensive partnerships, we could find ourselves, if results go a certain way this weekend, in third place. That's insane. That's incomprehensible to think that the Liverpool side losing 6 games in a row at home could end up third or fourth. But if they do, great. We get people back fit. We add a couple to the squad and we go again. So, we're going to do a watch along on the channel on Sunday. That'd be interesting.
Oh, that's fair enough. No, I think Liverpool had a very good end to the season, to be fair. In fact, they're even in top 4 at the moment is crazy considering where they were. Pretty crazy. But obviously last night, Chelsea securing top 4 with a win over Leicester. So Chelsea fans, how are you feeling about it? I've got 3 here with Andrew, Prime and Will. So Andrew, how did you feel about it?
you know what? All that mattered to me was a result. It's the business end of the season. Performances don't really matter to me. It's all about getting a result. We did that. I'm very pleased with it. I'm still angry that we lost against Arsenal midweek because last night we could have just wrapped it up mathematically. Do you know what I mean? Could have just been like, yeah, it's done. We don't need to bother about Villa because we're still not mathematically in. Do you know what I mean? There's still a chance we could go out. We have to go to Villa and play our strongest team and win that game. So, you know, because Leicester have to go to a dead Spurs and Liverpool have got Palace, who when they get to 40, 45 points, they just rest up for the season. So, you know, I'm very very pleased, but, you know, still one more hurdle to push. Yeah, it was all that mattered to me, Rachel, was a result, and we got it, and that's what it matters to me. Same on Sunday, get the result that I want, the win, and we move on to the Champions League final.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Prime, how are you feeling about Chelsea? Think top 4 secured?
Yeah, it is secure. I know Chelsea fans feel, yeah, like Andrew said, some Chelsea fans are angry with the Arsenal defeat and even losing the cup final. But and I know maybe it's not good to hear, but what Tuchel came out and said that the priority is securing Champions League football is kind of right. I mean, and yes, it does not excuse losing the cup final, but if we get top 4, for him that's the priority, because in terms of Chelsea going into next season and getting our targets, whether it be a Kane or Lukaku or Sancho, whoever, it's massive for us for progressing. And we still have a Champions League final in a week and a half to look forward to, and let's see how that one goes. But yeah, top 4 is already guaranteed, secure.
No, that's fair enough. Will, are you as confident?
Do you know what? With Chelsea at the moment, I'm not really too confident because we can either play like we did against Leicester yesterday, or we could play like we did in the cup final. But I was glad to see a good response. We played very well, especially, you know, in the first half. I thought we started excellently. It was a bit unfortunate that N'Golo Kante had to come off, but I think, you know, we need to be cautious with him. We don't want him getting injured for a Champions League final. But yeah, as Andrew said, the result matters a lot more than the performance. You know, Werner was a bit unlucky. You know, he did score with his hand, and his celebration might have been a little bit embarrassing. But, you know, I'm just happy that we bounced back. And
his celebration was embarrassing.
It was good to see the fans back. I think that did help. I think we played with more energy to our game, less static. But overall, I'm just glad we got the win. So yeah.
You know, it was so nice hearing fans this week, wasn't it? Like just seeing the fans in the stadium and listening to them cheer and chant. It's been really nice hearing that.
Yeah,
but
artificial noise is horrible.
Yeah,
and especially when there's a chance and they make this sort of scoring noise and they sort of just style it out after. It's horrible.
But it's weird because when the away team scores at home ground, they still put the cheers on. But they score. It doesn't make any sense. But, you know.
Yeah, no, it's it's so much better with fans. Yeah, I agree. What do you guys think of sort of Arsenal at the moment? Obviously, if things go their way, I think if like Everton and Spurs and I can't remember who the other team. I think maybe West Ham. If they lose and Arsenal win,
West Ham, Everton, Spurs, they're a point ahead.
Yeah, so if they lose and Arsenal win, they could get to the Europa League. I mean, the odds not happening is. But,
or even better, they can play Conference League, which is what all of us want. That's totally beautiful for all of us to see. Because I think like Arsenal have the most shameless fan base on planet Earth. Honestly, I'd love nothing more than to see Arsenal in that Conference League. That's genuinely like so beautiful to watch. So that's what I want. For me, just to like not to interrupt or anything, but regarding the Europa League thing, I think they just need too much to happen from way too many different things for them to end up there. So I think I'm ruling Arsenal out of the whole Europa League thing. Conference League, I think probably they could still get.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Welcome, RDS. How you doing?
I'm here. I'm here.
Hey, you good?
Yep, no, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I've just seen the comment from Lanty. Arsenal can finish above West Ham. I was like, bro, if I dare Spurs to finish below Arsenal this season, I dare Spurs to finish below Arsenal this season. If Spurs finish below Arsenal, despite having one of the worst seasons that they've ever had in their history, ban them from the league. Ban them from the league. I don't get the promotion spots in division in the championship. Just get a fourth team and bring that fourth team in, and then relegate Spurs. There's nah. Come on.
You are talking about a club who finished third in a 2-horse race. Yeah, 15, 16. So it has happened. You know.
Yeah.
You're talking about a club that says they have the greatest Champions League semi-final moment in Champions League history, but yet they still couldn't win the competition.
It is what it is.
I know.
Nuruddin, I haven't heard from you yet. What do you think about the top four race? How do you think it's going to end up?
I think it was a great win tonight for Liverpool, and it's actually a testament to Klopp, and it's a testament to the players. Obviously, everything that's happened to them this season. They came to Old Trafford last week and won. And that there's no excuses. Yeah, we wanted to get that game called off as well. We tried as protest, but they turned. I don't know if any of you remember when you were seeing footages of Baghdad during the Iraq War, the green zone, the most heavily fortified zone in the world. That's what they turned Old Trafford into. So, yeah, top four race. I think Liverpool are definitely in it. I thought last night Chelsea was impressive. It was a performance. It wasn't just a win. It was a performance. I thought Leicester were lackluster, and I thought Chelsea did a proper job on them. And there was a lot more intensity in their play. And I know everybody's got a case, but I actually like players who get into positions to miss. I'd be worried if the players are not, as a striker or forwards, are not getting in a position. That's what would worry me more than when they miss, because people can miss chances and sometimes without confidence.
There's got to be context though. Like if you've got someone like Timo Werner who's getting into positions and missing open goals on a regular basis, you might start to think, yeah, maybe we might need to get someone else. If you're doing it on a fairly regular basis, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't think his rest of his play is that bad. I mean, maybe it takes me back to like Diego Forlan, Man United. Diego Forlan was a shake your head, Habibi, but he still did that. I was there when he did that, when Dudek was giving him the gifts. And Forlan would actually work hard. He would play, you know what I mean? Obviously, very tenacious. You know, the most Uruguayan footballers, they're very tenacious, very active in the game. And he would miss sitters. But to me, I still like players who, you know, who are giving it a go and who are there, who are still a threat. Because, you know, if they're missing, it's a little bit of confidence and maybe something in their game is a technique that can be improved on. And I just feel like in modern football, we're so quick to bin players straight away. It's just the guy who wanted to take Lukaku on a bike to anywhere he wanted to go. I was so frustrated with Lukaku. But Lukaku's rest of his game was horrendous. It wasn't just that. And I think Werner, the rest of his game is really good. It's just that he's getting caught offside a little bit too much for a really top player. You know what I mean? You have to judge it a little bit. It's a bit too, and I think that comes from because the pressure he's feeling and the eagerness. And I thought that last night, I thought the Chelsea fans were singing his name, and I think it's the type of thing that United do, and United are known for, and also Liverpool are well known for. When a player, you know, is a bit unconfident, majority of the fans in the stadium would get behind him. Twitter would be like, "Get the player out." In the stadium, majority of fans would be like cheering his name and try to give him some confidence.
I think that's what you said is correct. He keeps trying. If he wasn't trying like a Morata, then he wouldn't get what he's getting, and that's what very easy. football fans sometimes are very easy to please. If the players are trying or seem to be trying, then you give them a bit more leeway.
I mean,
before
again,
it eventually comes up. Like if it costs you if it costs you a final, like in the Champions League, if it goes to 0-0 and penalties, but he's missed an open goal during the 90 minutes or 120 minutes, then I think people will turn.
That Macedonian open goal was pretty suspect, but like I agree. It's like a United. I know Daniel James is a trier. Daniel James tries, like he definitely tries. But would I say that he maybe Richard can agree with me? Like, is he the quality to take Manchester United forward as part of a starting 11 squad? I go, but he tries, just like McFred. I know also try. So it's not so much that you say that the player is crap or useless, etc. But at some point, you do have to think, okay, hang on for a second. If we're now going to take the step level and actually compete for a league, for a Champions League, to be successful, is this the player that we can rely on and depend on to lead? Because I don't know, I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I was under the assumption that Timo Werner was brought in to at the very least score goals or contribute to goals significantly. He hasn't done that. So now you're now going into the market to get someone to do that. So it's kind of, well then, where's Werner going to then play? Because you have other players to do that.
If Timo Werner wasn't classified as a striker when we bought him, then you would say he's had a pretty decent season, right? The contributions he's made, the assists he's made, but obviously he's been bought as a striker. So when I say trying, I don't mean like running about. I mean he's having impacts on matches. Yeah, he's having an impact on that. Obviously, he's not scoring enough, but he's like having an impact, whether it's an assist or, he's winning. I don't like the stats. I never do, but he's winning penalty and everything like that. He's having a positive impact on the match. It's when does it turn for Chelsea fans when one of his misses really cost us? Like it could be this Sunday where we get a draw and Leicester beat Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? Could it be that? Could it be a Champions League final where he misses a gilt-edged opportunity to win it 1-0? We go into extra time 0-0 and we lose on penalties. Do you know what I mean? It's something like that. Because then Chelsea fans will really turn.
Oh, sorry, mate. Just to address the comments. So I think it's Vel Shawan. Seventh place actually goes to the UEFA Conference League. So that's what seventh place is. So because Leicester City won the FA Cup and they're currently now in the Europa League position, so that seventh place position now goes to the single UEFA Conference League spot. So Arsenal Football Club, for example, if they get seventh, they enter into the UEFA Conference League. Which, to be fair, they need to win a European trophy. So there's an opportunity to win one.
The problem though.
It's not a guarantee though. It's not a guarantee with
competition. Roma's in that competition next year.
Villarreal as well, aren't they? Aren't they like 6th or 7th in the league? Villarreal in there.
Honestly, I read some of the teams in that competition, and no disrespect, but it's teams from like really lower leagues in Europe, like Hungary, Slovenia, Slovakia, etc. And the problem is, I think when I read about this competition, apparently it's Thursday evening, the game. So it's like, I think 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on a Thursday. So basically, if Arsenal are in the Conference League, they can kiss the league goodbye. No top 4, no top 6, no top 8, no nothing. Which is once again beautiful to see for me, because they have, in my opinion, the most shameless fan base I've ever met in my entire life. So I'd love for them to end up in the Conference League and eventually not win it, because that's just what Arsenal do in Europe. You could put the Invincibles out in the Conference League and they still wouldn't win that tournament. So that's just like...
You'll be able to see the UK work base around the Europa Conference time who's taken days off or half days, because they're all Arsenal fans. You'll see all the Arsenal fans come out.
I just want to go back to what Red Devil Studio was saying before. You can't compare Werner to Dan James or McFred. I think Werner is a different level of player. But actually, when I used to watch him for Germany, he never actually played as a striker. It was only the way the team was set up at IP Leipzig that he was finishing the chances because he was the main player. But every time I've actually seen him, I've never seen him playing as an out-and-out striker. He always played as part of a three, and sometimes he would go wide because of his pace. But for Chelsea, I see him making a lot of space, stretching teams, like troubling the likes of City. I'm talking about top teams, you know, City are no joke. They're in the Champions League, final for the reason. They won the league for the reason. And he's actually troubling their team when I've seen Chelsea play City. So I think Werner is a different level, but I think what you were saying, Andrew, is that he's bought as the striker and all the fans.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that, if I'm honest, I don't think that has to do to his technical ability. I think a lot of that has to do due to his pace. So his pace that you saw with Werner, which is why I made the Daniel James comparison, is because much like Daniel James, the pace that he has. I'm not saying that Werner can't pass the ball, can't find people, but I don't necessarily think that technically, compared to even most wingers or strikers, he's that great. And like we even talked about, positional sense as well. The amount of time he's been caught offside this season when he has the pace as well. Because that's if he didn't have the pace, that's one thing. But the dude has the pace, so he shouldn't be catching himself offside so many times. So but clearly, to counter-attack, to obviously run into positions, that pace that Team Werner has is useful, and it was definitely useful against Madrid. It probably is against City and the like. So I'm not trying to say he's a bad player, but given based on what he was brought in to do, which was presumed to score goals, it's almost kind of like, using United example, like Marcus Rashford and Greenwood obviously contribute to our goals and tallies and assists, etc. But hand on heart, you don't think, right, Marcus Rashford has to be the main goal scorer for Manchester United. Mason Greenwood has to be the main goal scorer for Manchester. We need a proper, and obviously Cavani came in to do that, to be the lead, to do that. And so Timo Werner is clearly not that player, if it makes any sense. I don't think he will ever be that player for Chelsea in terms of someone they can rely on to score 20, maybe 25 goals a season on a consistent basis with the ability that he has right now, which is why they might have to go out and get a new forward. But that doesn't mean he can't contribute. It's just I don't think he has the technical ability yet.
I think you've seen it. You brought it up Madrid. He was working off Havertz. Havertz was leading the line, and you can see he does do better. I mean, as much as we may not rate him, I mean, Poulsen did a tremendous job for Werner's game last year. That's why he was able to get all those goals. And I think Werner may, if we do get whoever we bring in, if we bring someone in like a Lukaku or something like that, just having another focal point and taking the opposition's view as the main front man, like a Lukaku, will probably help Werner because he's able to feed off him, or just take up the space that the defenders are noticing, and maybe take a little bit of pressure off himself. Because I do think some of these players are overthinking things. Do you know what I mean? Trying to over-impress, and it's letting them affect their game because it's Thomas Tuchel, it's a new manager. They want to make sure they're there next season, and also get into the team for the Champions League final. So, that's why I'll wait to really judge Werner next season if we get a frontline striker, and let's see what he does then. And if he hasn't improved, then you can say, okay, well, we're giving you every opportunity to improve. We've got players in to try and help you. Obviously, this doesn't suit you. So.
Are you willing to go one more year without a league title, though?
No, that's the thing. That's a different issue. See, that would be mainly then on what we do in the summer.
Can I explain to you why I don't think it's a different issue? Okay. I think a striker is probably like your main disadvantage. Okay, I wouldn't say disadvantage, but in terms of like finishing chances, etc.
Yeah.
And contextually, when you look at what's happening in the Premier League, there is also huge links that Harry Kane might end up at City, etc. City are going to buy a new striker, so you're looking at a higher level of finishing, like strikers, like front players, etc. for them. And at the end of the day, like if you want to talent, as I agree with what my man said, the Red Devil Studio. If I read the name correct, I apologize. He said like regarding a reliable striker. I think that's it at the end of the day. It's like with hard-working strikers, etc. You can find plenty of hard-working strikers who can get to positions, and stuff. But at the end of the day, you need people in your front three to get you at least 20, 22 goals a season to eventually win the league. And that's what happened with us. Like, I think it was like Mo had 20 goals in the league, or 19. Mane the same thing, Firmino the same thing. It's either an overall contribution from each one of them, or you have a clinical striker which gets you 30 a season. Now, is Werner reliable enough to get you 30 a season? I don't think so at all.
No. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand. That is, I'm not saying we stick with Werner and don't get a striker. No, because otherwise you might as well say to Chelsea fans, we are only aiming for third or fourth place.
What Werner gives you is you can't push your back four up and step up and try and control the game against Chelsea, because he is so quick, and he's so quick into the spaces. You have to leave your back four sitting slightly deeper. Yeah. So because of who he is and what he is, he's allowing Chelsea to control football matches. Mm-hmm. So he has his benefits in that regard. He's not going to go, like you're right, he's not going to score you 30 goals a season. Not going to happen. You know, Harry Kane is available. I don't think Harry Kane would have a problem with moving to Chelsea. I think he plays football for Harry Kane first and foremost, and that's the way he needs to think when he takes his next move. He needs to do what's best for him as a footballer and not worry about how the Tottenham fans react to a move to say Chelsea, because he's earned the right for that move. He's stuck with Tottenham through thick and thin. Yeah, we've got to a Champions League final with them, and the club didn't kick on. They just need to appreciate him for what he's done. Let him move on. If he goes to Chelsea, he goes to Chelsea. But that's what's missing. But Werner stretches everybody, and that is massive for Chelsea right now.
I'm going to just give a spoiler to what's happening on the summer. Harry Kane is going to stay at Spurs. He's not going to be going anywhere. He's got 3 years left on his contract, and Daniel Levy historically does not sell to rivals. And if he was going to sell, he's not going to sell for any more than 150, 170 million. And Harry Kane has said he wants to stay in the Premier League. There is no club in the Premier League that's going to spend 150 million on Harry Kane that Daniel Levy agreed to selling to a direct rival. And Harry Kane has got 3 years left on his contract. He's staying at Spurs next year, guys. I'm sorry.
I think the Man City
that's a shame if that happens, though, isn't it? That's a real shame.
City can afford him, to be honest. City genuinely can actually go out there and pay.
They can, but like just going by history. 180 on what they do. City they've never spent 150 million, and even still, like Daniel. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people know. Can anyone tell me players that, like Tottenham players that Daniel Levy's let go that have gone from Spurs to rival clubs in the top 6?
Carrick, Robbie Keane.
Remember Luka Modric? We bid 45 million for him in 2011. He sold him to Real Madrid for 30 million a year later.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I understand what you're saying. Listen, it's not like American sports where the players hold nearly all the power or something like that. It really is hard. I mean, Harry Kane, if he wants to move, he's going to have to do more than tell him he wants to leave. He's going to have to really be. I mean, he's going to have to be a shithouse. He's going to say he's not going to play. That's what
it said in the report. It said in the report that he didn't even hand in a transfer request. So he's actually not even handed in a transfer request.
He just said he wanted to leave. He's not said he's not even handed in.
So he's not even forcing it. So like, he's staying.
He needs, if he really wants to go and show ambition, he has to be a shithouse. He has to say, "I'm not playing for you anymore. I've given you my best. You haven't given me the best to help succeed. I want to leave." And he's going to have to try like that. He's going to try like that. At least if he tries and he still doesn't go, then you can say, well, yeah, it's down to Daniel Levy then. But unless he actually does it, then you've got to question Harry Kane as well. So.
But there is a ideology out there that this was I'll give you one more season, and this was the season where basically a gentleman's agreement to say we don't win something next season, I'm off. That next season is this season. You don't keep players who don't want to be at your football club. You can't do that because it destroys everything in the dressing room. So,
but he's under. It does. But it doesn't. I sort of agree, but same time,
like, he's not in his contract, though, is it?
And he's got. It's not in his contract. If it was even if it was 2 years left, like a year left or 2 years left, I'd be like, okay, maybe you can. But I didn't even know he had 3 years left. 3 years left on the contract is still quite a lot for a player, irrespective of how they feel about whether they want to leave a club or not. So, and then try and get, because you now have to try and find a club in the Premier League to buy him. I don't think United will. Chelsea, Daniel Levy. I mean, I don't think Daniel Levy is going to sell to Chelsea. He's not going to sell to a direct rival.
He's got to push out his
They're not direct rivals.
They're not direct rivals. They're aiming at different things. They're not our rivals.
Yeah, but like aside from, I know Richard mentioned like Carrick and Burns or something. Like, okay, fine. Was that must have been like what 7, 8 or something? Was that 7, 8 years ago when we sold Berbatov, Carrick? No, even more than that. Like more than
Carrick's 06.
Remember, he played hardball till the end. Daniel Levy. Berbatov was exactly, and Carrick, like Tottenham were pissed about the Carrick deal as well. But so it's not impossible.
No,
I don't think. I think just you need to make sure you pay the money that he wants. That's all it is. You have to pay the fee that he wants. It's all he's got. Like it's all on his terms. It's all on Daniel Levy's terms. He's the one with all the power in this.
Great. Where does the new manager's money come from? It comes into Tottenham. A new manager wants to build his own project. Kane wants out.
Yeah.
Maybe gets 120 million off, say Chelsea or Man City for him, and then the new manager's got money to spend. That Tottenham are in a mess. They let Mourinho go on the back of we'll use the money for the Super League to pay him off.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they've got to find £30 million for Mourinho to pay him off.
Yeah.
That'll be over the next 10 years or something like that. And then the new manager is going to come in and go, so what's my project? Where's my money? Well, there isn't.
But then
100 million.
But then a counter argument could be, if I'm a top manager coming in, I want to top players. You're telling me that like I now have to sell what is the best player in my team to somebody else with no guarantee. Yeah, okay, I've got money, but there's no guarantee I'm going to be getting those players, getting my targets. So I've got no guarantee going into Premier League with the squad that I have. Yeah. What top quality manager is going to come to Spurs knowing that potentially their best player or best players are going to be leaving the club? You might as well give Ryan Mason the contract. Just tell him to
RDS. Forget
that's
that.
What they will do. That's what they will do anyway. Which just shows how horribly run they are as a football club. Like the decision to sack Mourinho final week. Like I just feel like Spurs are not a serious club, honestly. Today, I don't know if this is true or not. I've read the rumor that if they sell Harry Kane, Tammy Abraham is the replacement they have, which just proves like how unserious Spurs football club actually are. If you sell Harry Kane and you get Tammy Abraham as a replacement, you just need to like liquidate club and just go back play in the conference or something, because that's just so. And they're probably gonna give it to Ryan Mason, which just shows how like sad their decision making is. I think if I agree with what you guys said. If you get a proper manager, in my opinion, best one for Tottenham, probably Ralph Hasenhuttl, I think, who can build a project there. You give him Harry Kane's like price tag or whoever you sell him to, and you get him like 3 or 4 players of what he usually plays with, and you can build something again. But I think decision making at that club is definitely a problem for them.
RDS, the point that you made, no top manager is going to want to go to a club that you can get sacked a week before a cup final.
Oh, yeah, obviously that adds to it,
Well, but we all know why that is. That was a clause in Mourinho's contract.
That was down to how much.
Andrew. Andrew. That's my point. The fact that Spurs fans are not angry that he wasn't sacked earlier because of saving money, Spurs fans are not angry at that.
No.
Like, do you think with all the look at Kroenkes and how they're always trying to save money, do you think they can sack, even as bad as Arteta is, do you think they could sack him a week before, say, the Europa League final if they were in it? No, because it doesn't make sense.
You
it doesn't make sense for a big club to do that.
Something must have happened. It is very unusual even for Daniel Levy to do that. Something must have happened. I think the players had enough. I think the players had enough. So
the players had enough too. The players had a month before.
No, I understand that, but something must have happened. Something that we're not hearing about.
Nuruddin, not to interrupt you, but there was a rumor regarding the ESL that apparently Mourinho actually had a huge problem with it and went and had an argument with Levy, etc. Because if you remember, I think he was sacked one day after the ESL was announced.
Yeah,
I
he said
think
on the
the
Monday.
rumor was at the time that it had something to do with ESL. But go ahead.
I mean,
Sorry.
I don't know about that because Jose and money. Jose is always chasing money. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about it. He lived in the hotel. Trust me, I'm a United fan, and I pointed it out. He lived in the hotel when he was managing Man United, so we already know he didn't come to stay. You know what I mean? He didn't come to think, right, I want to embrace this football club. He didn't. He was all about getting out. And actually, what was more tragic was that we've got absolute clown bankers run our club who don't understand that when they're being played. And he actually flirted with PSG. He said just a week before so they could give him a year extension to his contract. He said, my son's going on the Euro to go to Paris and watch Paris Saint-Germain. Beautiful city. And 2 weeks later, United give him, a new contract, and then they sack him. What, 6-8 months later? I mean, it's ridiculous. So let's not talk about. Let's not be too harsh on Tottenham. The thing I want to come into about where Harry Kane is going to go. Why would you want to go to Man City when they don't play a striker?
Well,
I mean, come on.
Replacement for Aguero.
I'm genuinely being serious. The reason why, one of the biggest reasons why Man City have strangled the game, and for the first time ever this season, more than all of the time I've been watching his teams, Pep Guardiola adapted his team more. His team weren't chasing the ball and pressing as hard, but they kept complete control of the midfield and swamping that midfield, even having your fullbacks come in and play in that centre midfield, which is having midfielders fluid and moving and interchanging, worked for them, got them into a Champions League final, got them to win the league. So Aguero doesn't play. Jesus is only when he wants to give people rest. I'm not comparing Jesus to Harry Kane, by the way. I'm not. But I'm just trying to say he would go. You would think that would be the most
logical,
the most natural place to go for him because he's a guy who wants trophies, right? Trophies. He's got maybe another 4 years in football with that dodgy ankle. But genuinely, I think, would Harry Kane be sitting on a bench at Man City?
No. Harry Kane starts at City.
You know what? I don't know about that, because Pep Guardiola dropped Sergio Aguero because he wouldn't press the way he wanted, and we've seen Harry Kane not press. Anyway. Not always. And there's been quite a few games where he doesn't press and he's actually quite lazy with it. And what ends up happening is you have Ndombele and you had Lo Celso. I remember in the United game, he literally ruined their press. You had Ndombele and Lo Celso trying to stop Fred from playing, which is not very difficult. But then you had Harry Kane just sort of walking around or sort of jogging. He wasn't pressing. So if he does that sort of thing at Manchester City, Pep's going to drop him. Pep doesn't care about things like that. He will drop him.
And I just think it's not even.
You know the funniest thing somebody said. Somebody just said before. Oh, he'll definitely play. Or he wouldn't. I agree 100% with Rachel. Let's put it this way. Pep Guardiola dropped Thierry Henry, dropped Zlatan, dropped Ronaldinho and these players, right? Etu. And these
Yaya Toure.
The difference being there, guys, is if you spend £125 million on a centre forward, you're only going to let you drop it because you don't put that kind of money on the table for you to find a player to sit him on the bench.
That's why I don't think you'll get him. That's why I don't think they'll get him.
From the book saying you can't drop players with that kind of money.
But don't you guys think though that
City aren't going to spend that money though?
Exactly. Don't you think that listen, just based on what Man City do, that would totally be a 180 from how they do their business?
Why would and also logically, if City go on to win the Champions League, I know you can always build your squad.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make any financial sense to be wait, we won the Premier League, we won the Champions League. So what we're gonna do, and even with our striker, what we're going to do is we're now going to spend £150 million on a 28-year-old who it's not like he's got any resale value. He has some injury problems. He's still a good striker, but we've been able to win the biggest trophies in football without him. It doesn't make any real financial sense.
But they don't want to return on investment. They don't sign players for return on investment. They're quite happy to sign players.
They don't rely on financial sense anyway.
No, and the biggest thing is just to say to your argument, the biggest thing is you strengthen while you're on top. That's one thing Liverpool didn't do. Liverpool didn't go and go on sign players
Yeah,
when
but
they won the league, Liverpool should have spent maybe we reckon almost maybe 200 million
True.
to really have a proper bench.
True,
So
but
then,
within
what would have happened? They can. Nobody knows about injuries or what's going to happen. But that's what you always know about United. Fergie always. I mean, we were strengthened when we did really well. Fergie would think, you know what? This is where you strengthen and you consolidate. To me, the biggest thing about Harry Kane is that the way that Phil Foden and the way that Man City fans, and not that, but City as a club were moving, and the way Haaland is. I was just looking at Haaland. I look at Barcelona and Real Madrid. They haven't got the money, really. They haven't got the money unless bankers, you know what I mean? Like the king of Spain, bankrolling Real Madrid.
he doesn't want to leave the UK anyway, so they're out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, Haaland, for me, the way him and Foden, when the two legs where they played each other, the way they're whispering and stuff like that, talking, I had the feeling that I think Haaland might think, you know what, I would like to be coached. I would like to be coached. And Haaland is the guy that Pep Guardiola is still a big manager. And I don't think Man City bosses will ever say to him, you need to drop Haaland. And Haaland would cost about in the region of 80 million.
Yeah.
Would cost
150.
This is for me even the biggest reason why I don't think that City would even get Kane anyway. It's for the simple thing that you've just said, in that you have Erling Haaland, who is a young potential who can still be coached, who's obviously performing, in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League as well, who's going to be cheaper than Harry Kane, who is available for someone between 120 150 million, which would be the same, if not maybe less, what Harry Kane would be available for. If you're going to go out for a striker, why would you choose Harry Kane over Erling Haaland?
He's more Premier League established.
Equal.
He's proven in the Premier League.
He is.
Yes,
he's
more Premier League.
He is proven.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I disagree with so much, like you guys said. I think personally, for me personally, I won't even say class striker. I think Kane is the best striker in the world, full stop. Like, I genuinely would take him over Lewandowski, and I'm not just saying that.
On.
I think. Let me land.
Let him speak.
I think personally, he's a complete forward. He presses, he creates, he scores, he does everything. I'm not going to penalize him for playing for Tottenham. That's not his fault. That's just where he ended up. Like, I'm not going to penalize him for that and go like, oh, he didn't win anything, blah, blah. I don't care. What I see on the pitch, I test. Harry Kane is a complete footballer. I wouldn't be okay. I would be okay if Harry Kane played right back in the 90th minute if our right back got sent off. That's how complete he is. Now, when you're Man City, Harry Kane is a proven scorer in the Premier League. And at the end of the day, I'm just gonna take this to another sport. When Michael Jordan got drafted to the NBA, the Trailblazers famously didn't take him first place. And one of the guys actually advised them, told them, play Michael Jordan at center, because they wanted a center for that team. So the same thing with Kane. For City, he can actually, bro. Let me land. For City, okay. Can you imagine City actually building their team, their whole strength of that creation, everything they do on the pitch around someone like Harry Kane? Do you imagine the damage they can do to other teams? Do you actually, if they won the league with Jesus as their striker, what can they do with Kane? Can you imagine? We just need to cancel the league, just give them the trophy, and we fight out for the rest of them.
You watch them; they don't play any strikers. They overload midfield. They heavily overload the midfield. They don't really play any strikers.
Yes, I know, but Aguero's replacement, though, there needs to be a replacement eventually. And at the end of the day, I don't think this season, in my opinion, they played their best anyway. And that is one of the reasons they haven't played their best as well. Because when you look at it, they do need a striker 100%, because their wingers miss chances a lot as well.
Yeah. I think they do need a striker. I just don't think Haaland or Kane are the profile of striker that Pep Guardiola wants. So they are like, there's no doubting the talent of Haaland or like how good Kane is. Like, we know that he is a world-class striker. Like, there's no doubting that whatsoever. It's just when you look at Pep Guardiola, this is a manager that if he even said it himself, if you give him 11 midfielders to play, he will play them all in that starting 11. He's very much that kind of manager. And I think the profile of striker that he's looking for isn't one like Harry Kane, personally. But, the thing is, if they get him, and I'm sure they'll utilize him well. But the thing is, to sanction a £100 million deal, that means that Pep Guardiola sees something that he likes from him, fair enough, and he could utilize him. But if Kane is not going to do the things that Pep Guardiola wants, then that deal wasn't sanctioned in the first place. So
he will,
you know,
though. He will. I think he's a coachable player, honestly. He will. He actually, like, if you look, he even changed his game under Jose Mourinho. So obviously he's going to listen to Pep. I think he's very coachable, and whatever Pep asks him to do, he'll eventually do it. And he has the work rate for it as well anyway. So he could press, he could pass, he could do a lot of things. Just needs a bit of guidance, I think.
I'm gonna just a small responses because now we have to move on. Okay, so like the first was like, you can't compare Michael Jordan to Harry Kane. Please don't do that again. Please don't, like, I know it's aspirational.
Just an analogy. Just an analogy.
It's an analogy, you know. So like, they're completely different things. The second thing is best striker. Okay, it's Frank's opinion. Personally, for me, for this season, I actually think that right now, if we're talking overall, that has, in the context of the team they're in, that goes to actually carrying Benzema with what he's done. Like, considering that if we're talking about a striker in terms of technique, position, etc., I think what Benzema has done at Real Madrid this season, despite the fact that they're not in the Champions League and I don't know, they might win La Liga still, it's been immense. And that's the type of striker when I'm talking about like the best in the world. But no one here here is saying that Harry Kane is a bad player or a bad striker or anything like that. I just think that realistically, there's so many factors that point to the fact that this Harry Kane decision won't happen. Predominantly because of one, as Rachel said, what Pep Guardiola wants, the history from Manchester City regarding the fact that they don't tend to spend 120, 150 million pounds unless they clearly want a player. The fact that they are and this is the key thing, they are other alternative options in the market that any coach or any manager would want to look for. Like, I remember, I think it was before Oli came, Manchester City were actually first heavy linked with getting Harry Maguire before even United were. So they wanted to get him before we did, but they got turned off by the fact because Leicester City wanted 80 million and they weren't prepared to go above 60 million. So rather than haggle, they're like, okay, you know what? Okay, fine. You know, and United got them. We'll just go and get another centre back, you know, next summer and make do. And they did. And they got Ruben Diaz. Enough said. You know, so the way that I see City board is that, like, I don't think that they are essentially what I'm saying is sort of they're not a desperately run club. They're not going to be haggled. So they're not going to be like, you know, if Daniel Levy comes and says, I want 150, and like, oh, okay, we'll cave into your demands and give 150 million to get Harry Kane. That's not how Manchester City, from what I see, are run. They're like, this is our offer. If you don't want it, that's fine. We'll just wait for next year, or we'll just go and get someone else. And we're not desperate to make these signings because we can make do, and we've got success with them or without them. You know, if that makes any sense. So, I
think Gagan is on point here. I think Lautaro Martinez is the profile of player that City will look for. I think that's that. It's not about, it's about the profile of player, isn't it? The way he plays.
I agree the profile, but Lautaro Martinez, I don't know.
Can I just ask the Liverpool fans, would they take Harry Kane?
No.
Yes.
No.
Of course,
I would.
Why wouldn't you, Steve? Why wouldn't you take him?
I'm old-fashioned in the sense of players who should come to my football club. Harry Kane is endangering players' careers at the moment. Harry Kane's leaving shoulders on the side of Arsenal players' heads and diving for penalties. That's not the moral type of footballer I want in my football club. He's going to hurt somebody with this backing in when they're going for headers. I happen to think that when you sign a player for your football club, they have to fit in with your football club as well. I personally can't say to him. I know other Liverpool fans would have him tomorrow. Personally, if he signed for Liverpool, don't get me wrong, his goals would be welcome. But as a person, I can't take to him. So my level, I would look elsewhere.
They also have Jota now, who before his injury was actually doing the business, and I think the Jota Mane, although Mane's had a bad season, Saleh system, I think works. So I don't know. I'm not saying it would be bad at Liverpool, but I don't necessarily think that Liverpool needs Harry Kane right now.
We do need a central attacker, absolutely.
We need a striker.
About this area.
We need a striker, and he's the best striker in the world. If I was offered him, I'd take him tomorrow, like without any question.
So you think with Jota, so you'd bench Jota then?
No, Jota's more of a contender for Mane's position. I thought Jota could play
Yeah.
through the middle when he signed for Liverpool. I'm no
Okay.
longer convinced of that. We need
Okay.
if we're going to stay with the same formation, which I fully expect us to, because there's no time to change it because of the Euros. And I
Yeah.
think we'll go again with an industrious midfield in the front three.
Yeah.
We need some competition for Bobby Firmino because I think that guy's spent in terms of physicality and intensity. Harry Kane could do that job. I just personally don't like the way that he plays, and I don't like the fact that he's trying to injure his fellow pros. I really have a problem with that.
Don't forget the goal he claimed. Okay, remember that goal that he claimed.
Oh
Okay,
my goodness! Who cares about all that, man? Come on, if we get Harry Kane, we are guaranteed the league title next year. Guaranteed if we get Harry Kane, because it just gives us so many options.
Rachel, can you clip this?
4-2-3-1 with Firmino behind him. We could play so many different things. Can you imagine Trent crossing to Kane, Robertson crossing to Kane? There's so many things that would happen if Kane signs with us. So many tactical options as well. You could play a 3-5-2 with someone just off Kane.
I was told by Liverpool fans that this season was the beginning of the Klopp dynasty for Liverpool.
Oh,
go ahead. That's what I was told by Liverpool. That's what I was told. You know.
Listen, you're a United fan. If you've read Roy Keane's biography, he said when Ferdinand got injured, same thing happened to you guys. But unfortunately, no Twitter back then, so we didn't know about it. But when you read the history books, you know that this has happened to every single club.
Yes.
Who are you selling Salah to get Kane then?
We're not
selling Salah. Selling
that's
Mane.
the only way you're getting Kane.
Exactly right. That's why
it's a hypothetical question anyway.
I know.
That's the type of player we buy anyway.
Well, it's either Mane or Salah you're selling.
If we're saying Man City won't spend that money on one player, FSG certainly won't.
No, they won't. They won't. Yeah, they like to spread it. Exactly. They like to spread it across.
As a United fan, I definitely do not want Harry Kane.
Okay.
Why do you not want Harry Kane, Nuruddin?
I think we've got bigger problems, structural problems, and other positions that are vital for Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is something that Ed Woodward would be parting gift to Man United. This is something that the Glazers would think to appease United fans and get the shirt sales up again. I think it's one of those. This is a classic Manchester United thing to do. Right.
It really is.
I really hope that it doesn't happen because we need a dominant centre half that's good and pacey centre half to play on the left-sided centre half, and we need at least one holding midfielder. But in my case, I think we need two, and I think we need to get rid of Fred or McTominay. One of them has to go, or if both of them want to stay, they're going to have to be bench players. We're going to have to be bench players that can play their games.
Do you think
I think then we need a right winger. So I think they're the four players that we need.
Yeah.
But obviously we got bankers in charge, and apparently most likely,
bankers.
They are honestly. So I don't know. Some don't know, but I'll tell you, we got Richard Arnold, we got Matt Judge, and Ed Woodward. They all went to Bristol University to study banking and accounting. That's who they are. That's who runs our football club. That's who's been running our football club for the past decade, right? So that just shows you, like, in terms of who makes football decisions, and apparently we all employ. So there's a thing called jobs for the boys business. That's what we are, jobs for the boys business. So we never go and get experts or people who know who know about what they're doing, especially when it comes to football. So Richard Arnold is most likely going to take over Ed Woodward when Ed Woodward leaves at the end of the season. And most likely Richard Arnold will come in. He's a rugby guy, by the way. They're both rugby guys. But there is a rumor that Ed Woodward is a Liverpool fan. As a child, he's a Liverpool fan.
Let's not
that explains a lot. That explains a lot, to be honest. That explains a lot.
But I can imagine Richard Arnold coming in and going, well, how can I make a big impact? How can I make a big impact with the Man United fans as the new chairman and go and spend all that money on Harry Kane? Yeah. And I also think the Glazers will back it because they'll think, all we need to do is like how they bought, in there for the American football team.
PR.
They bought the best quarterback for their, Tom Brady. Yeah. And they'll think, that's what it'll do because, we got ex-players like Scholes and people like Keane and that who are not looking. Keane the other night spoke about how McFred are just, we're never going to win a league with them. Never going to win a league with them. We're never going to compete for Champions League with them. And he spoke about that. So it was interesting. But he needs to go and get Harry Kane. He needs to go and get Harry. And I'm like, what about a centre half? What about, we've been down this road before. We bought Di Maria. We've bought Pogba. We've bought, without buying any other players to help them, we bought all these. And when we don't want to do that. So that's why I wouldn't want him. If you said to me a number 8 and a number 6, I'll take your hand. You know what? If you said to me now, we'll get a number 8 and a number 6, I will absolutely bite your hand off. Because to me, I'm dreading seeing when I go to the stadium next season to see McFred at Old Trafford starting those two when we need to win games.
To be fair to the McFred, even though like I think they're not good enough, like somehow Ollie has managed to use McFred to get second in the league and possibly an Europa League. So which is something. Where's the point I'm trying to make is like they're not good enough what United want to achieve. But I don't think
weird season. We cannot put anything to this season. This is a weird season. That's why when Chelsea players, Chelsea fans are criticizing Werner, I'm like, it's a weird season. A new player signed for you, not playing in front of our fans. Again, Liverpool, you've not played in front of your fans. So everything is all... I mean, Bobby Firmino, for me, is one of the best guys who can hold the ball, the space he does, the unselfish work he does. All of that is because it's not been a normal season. Not doing what they needed to do when they needed to let off steam, get away from the high pressure of the sport. They've not been able to do that.
I get it's a weird season, but like this has been like in the last season, United were third with us. Okay, I guess we're third with I think Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. Although at times during that season when Pogba and Matic were injured, Fred and McTominay played for large periods in that season as well. And obviously in this season they did the same. And yet, despite the fact that Chelsea and the like had and Arsenal and so on even had better midfields, they still managed to be in the position that they are. So I'm not disagreeing with you and Rachel. I don't think that they're not good enough for what we want to achieve. But all I'm just saying is that in the sort of semi-defensive, they're clearly not as bad because the league position doesn't lie. And they're part of that. And I know that a lot of that comes to the fact that with likes of Cavani and our goals, and obviously maybe Harry Maguire doing, his centre-back position or whatever. But I do think that some of that is tied to what Ollie apparently sees in Fred and McTominay and what they provide in terms of protecting the back four. And the evidence of that on the league is the fact that they're second place, despite the fact that Chelsea, for example, Arsenal, most other teams' league have a better midfield than we do. But yet they're still nowhere near Manchester United are in second place. So essentially I'm saying that they're not good enough, but they are doing something right, and they're not as crap as they're often made out to believe, is the point I'm trying to make.
But can I just
the thing is, I agree with
Wait, hold on, one at a time. Let Steve speak, and then Husam can speak after.
Just with regard to your midfield, whoever's protecting your back four isn't good enough. In Pogba and Fernandes, they're far better than anything Arsenal have got to offer. So I have to pick you up on that point to some degree. Whoever's protecting your back four is your problem, not whoever's unlocking the door in the final third. Paul Pogba's got every attribute to be the best centre midfielder in the world, except what goes on inside his head. That will stop him being the best centre midfielder in the world because he doesn't have the right mentality. You can't coach that. So you have to live with that. But in terms of him and Fernandes, superb footballers. That's not easy to say as a Liverpool fan, but I'm an honest Liverpool fan, so I admire and respect what they do on the pitch. It is your Matic, your McTominay, and your Freds that are stopping you. You go and buy a world-class holding midfielder, that gives license for Pogba to do what Pogba used to do at Juventus, which was create havoc because he didn't have people putting defensive responsibilities on him when he can't track a runner and he can't see danger. So I think your problem lies in your defensive centre midfielder, not what's happening in the final third. So to some degree, I do take your point, but your problem certainly isn't from an attacking point of view. And that's why you're second, because you're creating so much through those guys.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're good enough. I'm just trying to make the counter argument that, like, given where United are, and given that for most seasons that they've been a part of that midfield, that Fred and McTominay is mediocre as they are not. I think some people, the way that they often said is that these guys are useless bums that are relegation from midfield, and it's kind of like it's a bit. That's a bit extreme given where Manchester United are in the table compared to other teams that have infinitely better midfields than Manchester United are. So I'm just saying that like they're not good enough for what Manchester United need to achieve, but they're nowhere near as bad, I think, as people often make them out as if this midfield would get you relegated. It's like, well, clearly
No,
not.
but as footballers,
Yeah.
footballers, only Manchester City have got better, more technical midfielders, I would say, or at a level.
I'd argue Chelsea's midfield is better than Manchester United's.
Defensively, yes. Defensively, I agree. Not going forward. Pogba's got more in his locker, and so has Fernandes than what we've seen. Pogba from Havertz.
Well, Pogba since January, and arguably before that, Ollie was playing Pogba on the left. So really, the midfield at Manchester United was McTominay, Fred, and then Bruno ahead, with Pogba playing essentially where Martial's playing, because Martial has been having a terrible. I mean, Martial's another. I mean, in fact, you guys are Rachel and we were talking about Cavani, talking about Harry Kane, Anthony Martial. As far as I'm aware, is still at Manchester United, and no one is even talking about like how where Martial is going to fit into. It's almost like he's not even there anymore. Like we're talking about bringing Kane into the club. We've obviously got Greenwood is coming through. So where does if now Kane's coming? So where does Martial now fit into this? Because clearly
on your bench at best.
Yeah, he competes with Rashford on the left. I think he's better on the left than what he is as a striker. And Rashford doesn't have competition on the left, so he's.
Before I sort of look out of this conversation, someone else have a go.
So you bench. Pogba
playing on the left. That's back to the conversation that Solskjaer doesn't know how to get the best out of all of his players, and that's a conversation that's been happening ever since he took over at the club. You and I, every man in the street can see that Paul Pogba shouldn't be playing left midfield. He offers too much through the middle. He's too clever. He's got too much guile, too much creativity to stick him out on the left. That's down to the manager to get his selection right, and he didn't. But in terms of those two guys, only De Bruyne and Foden are at a level which you could compare with Bruno and Pogba in terms of creativity. And I think you play on the front foot. So you don't get defensively exposed because you play on the front foot.
No, that's absolutely fair. Yeah. No, I agree. I think the Pogba being on the left thing, it's good sometimes, like because I think Rashford's had quite a topsy-turvy season. I think the numbers are good, but sometimes his performances, especially in the last couple of months, have been quite poor. And I think the problem that we have at the moment is that we're playing Rashford on the right, Pogba on the left. Rashford is poo on the right. And that's putting it nicely. He's not very good there at all. And then we're playing Pogba on the left, and then we're playing McFred. And it's a thing where you're playing two of your inside forwards basically out of position.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, it shows how desperate we are for a central midfielder because there's no balance in our midfield. That's the problem, isn't it? You play Pogba in there with Fred. Pogba has to hold because Fred can't hold. You play Pogba with McTominay. There's issues there as well because McTominay isn't the best at holding, but he's better than Fred. You play Matic there next to Pogba. Matic is too slow, and both together aren't mobile enough to play in the centre together. So all the combinations we have of midfield are not good enough. So McFred are mobile. They work hard for the ball. They work for 90 minutes. Giving them some credit, they don't stop for 90 minutes. You know what I mean? They're not players that burn out after 60 from running around. They will do their job and they will try. It's just the quality isn't there. And that's the problem that I have with it. They can be like one of them can be a squad player, and the other one has to go. And then we bring in a defensive midfielder, and like Nuruddin said, another central midfielder, hopefully. But we won't do that. We might not even get a central midfielder at all. So that's where the problem is, isn't it? So
I would snap the hands off of tomorrow. I would give them whatever money went. I'd give them Fred and McTominay and get Ndidi and Tielemans. And I said Man United would regret not getting Tielemans. I said that because he was flirting with Man United before he signed for Leicester. And
Leicester getting, what's his name, the guy from Lille, Bakary Samora, who's also essentially I think he's a holding midfielder.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I haven't seen much of
it. Where would you play Tielemans in the United team?
As a number 8, where we used to play Herrera, when we had the best time of Ollie, since Ollie was there, the best time was the 4-3-3. That was his best formation. and Mulder. when he-
Massive Sherrera Pogba.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Yeah.
when he played when he
I
when he,
wouldn't go that far.
managed- when he won the league in Norway. I know that it's Norway, but you can see a manager what they do. You know what I mean? And Mulder never won the league before Ollie got there, and he played 4-3-3. And he played similar to Liverpool, actually. That was what is the crazy thing about it. High press, 3 midfielders, one of them who was a bit more attacking, one as a number 8, and then the other one as a number 6, more defensive player. And that's the best time. That's why Ollie got the job. That's why we're all singing Ollie's at the wheel, because that's what we got sold. And then, unfortunately, Pogba got injured. And then everybody, the rest got injured. And the topsy-turvy roller coaster I don't have to talk about. But the reason why Leicester beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final on Sunday was because of the midfield. Tielemans and Ndidi had an absolute storming. The midfield, that matter, especially in the second half, Tielemans took over the game. Tielemans completely ran that game in the second half, and Ndidi backed him up. And they did that to us exactly the same what they did to Fofana. Obviously played fantastic at the back, and obviously at times they were lucky. They were lucky with a call when Chelsea equalised. But in terms of the game, I couldn't say that. I mean, I don't know, Andrew, and the rest of you Chelsea fans, but Leicester were the better team for me, and that's being honest. Leicester were the.
I slightly disagree. I
Yeah.
don't think Tielemans and Ndidi run that midfield at all. You can tell it's one long shot, and you can tell on Tuesday they didn't take the long shots because they had a proper goalkeeper in there. I just don't.
It wasn't just a long shot. He was creating chances before the long shot. I mean,
can you name me a single, apart from the goal? If you watch the FA Cup final, can you name me a single time Kepa was in trouble apart from the goal?
No, listen. The game was more about fighting. It was more of an intense game, right? But you tell me, right after you scored, other than those 2 saves that he made, was Schmeichel in trouble? Other than the 2 saves?
No. What I will say is that I think they sort of cancelled each other out, the midfield and everything. Because I don't think.
I was shocked to see Kante not being mentioned. Kante was not there in that game. I thought Tielemans and Ndidi ran that midfield, and honestly, maybe I watched the wrong game, especially in the second half. The second half, to me, there was only one team that was going to win it, and it was Leicester.
Well, that's fair. I respect what you said. I just think we woke up after they scored. That's all. I think after, if I'm going back, if I'm being, because I agree with you. Before they scored, we did nothing, and they did nothing really. The goalkeepers had for an FA Cup final, the goalkeepers had a pretty easy day up until Tielemans scored. And you're right. Going back to it, we didn't do enough to win it, and that's on us. People can say Leicester deserved it. Fine, I have no issue with that because we lost. But I think Tielemans. Everyone's now going on Tielemans because he scored that. No, some people are. I'm not saying anyone here.
I've been saying
I think his profile has slightly risen because of that FA Cup final goal. I think he's a quality player. I don't know though. I do not know if Man United need him as that player. Seeing as you've got Pogba and Bruno, where would you? I mean, he'd be a squad, wouldn't he?
McTominay. He's levels, absolutely.
Yeah.
I watched that kid captain Anderlecht in the European final at Old Trafford. Right, I watched that kid and I thought, oh my gosh, he's this good. Honestly.
But you need an Ndidi. You need an Ndidi more than
that's one that's more important.
Yeah, you need an Ndidi more than Tielemans. Because you've got an Ndidi, you've got Pogba. If you get an Ndidi with a Pogba and a Bruno, then your midfield.
Are we still linked with Declan Rice? Because I think that was the thing that
we are linked with Declan Rice.
I think Declan Rice is going to be the thing.
Declan Rice is going to go to. He's a Chelsea fan.
Oh, don't read the chat. Don't read the fans.
I
read the
don't think we
fans, but
want him.
hate
I don't think Tuchel.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I don't
Tuchel-
think Tuchel doesn't seem to.
I don't think
Lampard, I
Tuchel
think,
want it.
wanted him, but I don't think Tuchel.
Yeah.
I
Lampard
don't
clearly
think
wants him,
Tuchel-
but I don't think Tuchel wanted him.
That's one of the reasons that's one of the reasons why Lampard got sacked.
We're not paying 70 million for Declan Rice. We're not going to do that.
The board weren't even convinced on Rice.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The board. That's why. Yeah, Will's right. One of the things that came at the end was that he wanted Declan Rice, and the board were not convinced. I don't know if Tuchel. Listen, if Tuchel wants Rice, I'll back it. I just don't.
Yeah.
From the way he plays, I don't think he wants that, because he wants more of like we have already, Jorginho, Kovacic in that mould, sort of thing. So, and don't get me wrong, Declan Rice has improved so much this season, so much. I don't know, but if Tuchel wants him, I back it. But regarding Tielemans, if he was, like I said, you guys would be better off with Ndidi.
No, 100%. I understand that indeed, but I think Tielemans will. The problem is that in our midfield, other than Pogba, we have nobody who can pass.
Yeah,
McTominay can't pass. Fred can't pass. We need to have a number 8 who's good on the ball, and Tielemans is the perfect number 8 for me.
Is Van der Beek number 8, or is it is it 10? Can he play in number 8 position possibly?
Not in a 4-2-3-1.
Okay.
I've seen him for Belgium. I've watched him for Belgium, and I watched him absolutely score goals from number 8 position for Belgium, and that was against England. I think he scored 2 or 1 or 2 goals against England when Belgium beat England, and I've seen him have a fantastic game against England in international football as a number 8.
You guys have mentioned everything United need to title challenge except the elephant in the room. Obviously, my opinion. The manager, I honestly don't think you can win a league title under Oli. I genuinely think he is the biggest problem. And I wouldn't. Okay, maybe biggest problem is too harsh, but I just think he would. I don't see United winning the league under Oli. That's my opinion. And I've said this to Rachel. Actually, we spoke about this once. I told her I think, in my opinion, this season was probably your best chance to actually win it, because City aren't playing at their usual level. We have dropped off. Chelsea dropped off. At the beginning of the season, if you asked anyone who would challenge for the title, everyone would have said City, Chelsea, Liverpool. Those 3 they would have mentioned. Chelsea because of their transfer window, and Liverpool and City because that's what has been happening over the past 3 years. We've dropped off massively. City had a bad start, and in my opinion, aren't playing at the Centurion level or even the 98-point season level. And the same thing with Chelsea. I think this season was probably your chance to win the league. In my opinion, with a better manager, you would have challenged this season and could have won it. In my opinion.
If you look at to me, and I keep this in fair to you look at some of the when you actually look at the games, all the games that we lost, we dropped points this season. Like no United fan is here saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the greatest manager, is awesome, is up the level of Pepper Crop or something. But even to be fair to him, when I see some of the goals that we conceded and when we conceded them, you cannot blame the manager. So whether that's the goal we conceded against Everton in the 85th minute, the goal that we conceded against Leicester, I think that was the display against Sheffield United, like these things cannot be put to he tactically set up the team wrong, or the defender was supposed to do his job. No, the players were in the case of Sheffield, being lackadaisical. No, Rashford, Green, and Cavani didn't take their chances and they had multiple chances and should have scored the goal. So I get against maybe like a City or an Arsenal where we set up negative. You could say, okay, maybe it's Ollie's fault, whatever. He should have gone out, etc. But against some of the teams where we lost points this season, it was not on how the team was set up. It came to ultimately individual mistakes and errors or players, not like against, I think in the Europa League statement that we lost against Sevilla. We were much better than Sevilla in that team. We peppered their goal, but we didn't take our chances. And Sevilla scored, and that happens in football. And that's not because the coach was garbage or because we didn't play well. It's just that we didn't take our chance and we lost the game. So
I think that was Ollie's best game as a Man United manager.
I think the Everton game in the League Cup quarters, I think was probably in terms of how we played. If you remember that one, we played the Diamond and stuff.
Yeah.
I think City away was probably your best one.
Do you remember who we had in midfield? We had Matic, we had Van der Beek, Pogba,
Yeah.
Fernandes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a game where Manchester United, certainly for the first minutes, we absolutely dominated and pressed and possession and the passing and the touch, and it was amazing. So, but just to finish my point, like the thing with Oli is just that with a lot of United managers, that it is unlike a Pep or unlike a Lampard, is that it's difficult to judge him solely when he's clearly not been given the players that he's needed to fit in the specific positions. So if you bring him a good centre back, he bring a right wing, you bring him a striker, and then he balls up, then fine, sack him, get rid of him, whatever. But at the very least, give him the opportunity to have the players so he can have a squad that could compete, and then say, okay, fine, this guy's not good enough. Rather than make the same mistake that you make with Mourinho, with Van Gaal, previous managers past, where you basically just give the guy bare minimum tools. Like Big Ram will say, I don't care if Lampard's inexperienced. Here's 200 million. Get all these players that you want.
I just want to ask the rest of the fans in here, like Chelsea fans and the Liverpool fans. Do you agree with what he said about that? Oli, even if we got into players, even if we had a proper football structure, that Oli cannot win, cannot beat Pep or Klopp.
That's what I agree with. I genuinely think if you give Oli everything he wants, he still won't win the league. And in my opinion, the indication to that is how he played against the top 6 this season. If he just had 1% more belief, take the example, just our match, the game we had at Anfield. The game we had at Anfield, I've had United fans be disappointed in the result. Some of them happy about the result. When I came out of the game, I was like, they actually came to us with all the injuries we have, and they did play defensive for that first 45 minutes. And then when he changed the tactics up a bit, went a bit more offensive, you guys got a few chances. I think Bruno had a chance, Pogba had a chance, etc. And a week later, we lose to Burnley at home. So it's like, I think if he just had a bit more guts, and again,
we lost the next 6 games or the next 5 games at Anfield, right?
Man, I'm just referring to after that game. I'm just referring to after that game. I know. Trust me, I know. We lost 6 games.
That was the game. But listen, that was the game for me. That was the game for me that I was incredibly disappointed with all his tactics.
Exactly.
And I was so disappointed. I was absolutely livid because to me, that's the 2 games that mean more to me in the season.
But bro,
Liverpool, Manchester. You know what I mean? I studied in uni. I've got loads of friends. I got family who are Liverpool fans. That to me, when a fixture comes out, the 2 games I look at is the Old Trafford game and the Anfield game. And that game for me, where Oli, I just thought, Oli's never gonna do it. He's never gonna do it because he followed exactly the same pattern as Jose Mourinho did when we were smashing teams 4-0. Liverpool were on a bad form. We went to Anfield and ultra defensive. And only thing we didn't lose because De Gea made a fantastic save against Matic.
Well, we weren't ultra defensive at Old Trafford. We weren't ultra defensive at Old Trafford, and look what happened. So I mean, I'm just saying that it's just we got peppered.
I just want to ask Steve and Andrew and the rest of the Chelsea fans. Do you think Oli, from an outside point of view, do you think even if he had the backing and we had structure, do you think that he could challenge? We're not asking to win first. We want to challenge, then win.
Yeah. All teams that win league titles.
Yes, he could.
He could.
All teams that win league titles.
Yeah.
We've got 2 things: players on the pitch that have the know-how how to win the titles and do it in the 90 minutes whilst they're on the pitch, make changes themselves and tactical maneuvers themselves, and managers that are tactically adept at winning titles, changing up their game plans for different teams, identifying problems on the pitch in real time. And the game at Anfield is a classic example. We were there for the taking, and Solskjaer didn't know how to deal with that. He didn't make changes to deal with that. You buy a good 6, you put a world-class 6 in United side, and you buy a partner for Harry Maguire that is a bit more resolute than, say, Lindelof and a bit less injury-prone than Eric Bailly, and you figure out what to do with your wide men, particularly down the left-hand side, and technically what to do with Marcus Rashford, then you challenge for the league. I'm not convinced Solskjaer's the man to do that. all managers have a level of capability that they hit, and they can't go any higher. But Pep Guardiola's at the top of his game at the moment. Klopp was last season. I don't see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the same table as those guys in terms of tactical awareness. So look at. I'm using an example. Look at the PSG City game. The first half, PSG all over Manchester City. Pep Guardiola made changes to City's shape in the second half. Pochettino didn't respond. That is exactly the same thing that would happen if Solskjaer was in Pochettino's position. I don't think he's got the tactical awareness to respond.
I think we also need to be in the context of, like, especially in the context of these 2 seasons, is that one of the things you look at, especially look at around Europe in general, but not always in general, is that the teams that have had the more in-depth squad are the teams that generally tend to do quite well. So whatever you say about City, the reality is that the thing that's helped. That's why I make the argument about having the right players, because we're still debating about a strong starting 11. City already have a strong starting 11, and then on top of that, have a bench where if De Bruyne was injured for half of the season, and then Gundogan comes in, Bernardo Silva comes in. It's like, yeah, there's no difference because they've got the quality there. And so the reality is that, like, City are where they are, yes, because of the manager. I agree. I'm not taking anything away from Pep, but the reality is that, like, they have not only just a good starting 11, they have a brilliant squad. And Manchester United,
they got 2 teams.
Two teams.
No
Manchester United don't even.
There's no guarantee. I could buy any manager. Sorry to interrupt. I could buy any manager in the world 20 decent players to give him a team in 3 quarters. There are no guarantees that manager has the wherewithal to turn that team into a championship winning side. Manchester City have got a style of play that asks questions in the final third for 90 minutes against everybody. So unless you're defensively absolutely at it, and you're really, really brave, and you've got the guts to bypass their midfield, which takes some doing, by the way. I think if you're brave against Manchester City, you get chances. If you go and buy 20 players and give them to any manager, there's no guarantee those 20 players will give them.
No, of course not. But then that's why you have scouting. That's why obviously the manager's involved. Like, that's why like clearly there is I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, with a lot of players in the Premier League, we often say, if, for example, Pogba got injured, you can see the influence that we said that Pogba, like Bruno, etc., have had in a squad, where you know that you're going to miss him because you see what Pogba is going to bring to squad. With Man City squad, because of the depth of quality that they have, despite the fact that a supposed key player like De Bruyne can be out, maybe in seasons past it would have been an issue. Let's say in the first season, with Sterling's like, oh my goodness, what can City do now? Now, with the depth of squad that they have, it's no longer an issue. And so with a long COVID season as well, where there's tons of games, there's a lot of the traveling, there's a lot of stuff like that. I said this at the beginning of the season when I sort of predicted that that City were going to do well, was that because of the nature of how things are, it was always going to be the team with the best squad that was going to do well in the end, for the sheer fact of the amount of games that we're going to play, that the amount of injuries that were going to happen. If you have the quality of squad, you're going to go over the line. And what we saw with a lot of teams, with your team Liverpool, was that Liverpool could challenge, but they got their injuries, and then did they have the depth of squad to come in? Obviously, they had tons of injuries, but you know what I mean? Like, it's the fact that they didn't have that in reserve compared to a City, etc.
But yeah, that's some good points. Klopp and Guardiola are very different managers. Klopp doesn't. If you give Klopp £1 billion to spend, he wouldn't thank you for it. He doesn't want to buy players with egos and reputations. He wants to buy rough diamonds and shape them. The reason why Guardiola's got the side he's got is because he came to Manchester City with the credibility, with the track record, with the trophies to his name, where he can say, "Give me the money and I will deliver." Solskjaer can't sit down in front of the Manchester United board and say, "Give me Guardiola type investments and I will deliver," because he has no credibility in that regard.
I'll even take it to the next level from what Steve just said. I think you give Oli that same squad City have, and he doesn't win the league. Genuinely, that's just what I think.
Even though Mancini and Pellegrini won the league with inferior City squads,
Pellegrini got to a semi-final
in his second season with Manchester City, and it took Pep 4 years with a more superior squad to get to a final.
Yeah, but that's a different thing you're talking about. You're talking about the Champions League. I'm talking about the Premier League. The Premier League itself. I think even if you give Oli that squad, he still doesn't win the league, in my opinion. Because as Steve said, if you look at examples so many times when you watch City, by the way, like I know we big up City and their squad and everything and Pep, and rightly so, but at the end of the day, they don't win every game 4-0. It's not like 4-0 every single week. So many times, as Steve said as well, and as you pointed out, many times you see Pep make in-game adjustments, which you don't see from Oli. The way Oli plays against the top 6 teams, the way he plays against the smaller teams. When a team comes to Old Trafford, let me just say something regarding the smaller teams as well. Yeah. When a smaller team comes to Old Trafford, you and I, as just fans of football, already know that they're just gonna park the bus for 90 minutes. They're gonna hit you on the counter attack, blah blah blah. He ends up playing.
No. Okay, come on. That's a bit disingenuous. That like if you looked at United squad, we're going to Trafford. So you're saying that small teams can come to Old Trafford, and Oli basically puts 10 men behind the ball. And then
the other way around. The other way around. I'm saying the small team defends against you, not you defend against them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm saying the smaller teams come to defend against you, and you still play Fred, McTominay, etc. Where so many United fans have been saying, if you just play Donny van de Beek, you don't need a Fabinho type against a Burnley at home, because all you need to do is just control midfield, and you're just gonna eventually out football them. That's just how football works, and you could eventually play more attacking, etc. Yet I don't see that from Oli there, and I think personally he's tactically inept as well. So I think even with that City squad, he doesn't win the league.
I think that goes to the options that was, because I think even Rachel mentioned that Van der Beek is not a holding midfielder, so it goes to the options. So for example, had he gotten a Declan Rice, or had he gotten, that's why I'm talking to the players, we're like, okay, if he gets Declan Rice, if he gets Grealish, if he gets Sancho, if he gets Haaland, for example, then suddenly fine, because when he first came to Manchester United, what was he, and even last season, he was playing Matic, Pogba, Bruno. In the first season, he played Matic, Herrera, and Pogba. So clearly, when he's got the person, he will play that image if that player can play it. I'm sure if Declan Rice comes to United, he's not going to play Fred and McTominay together. He'll probably play Declan, Pogba, and Bruno in that midfield pivot. But if he's not at the very least given the opportunity to get the players to have his system, whatever that is, clearly this season it just so happens that with the options that Oli has had, Fred and McTominay, unfortunately, are the best of a bad bunch. Because Matic can't play that role, Van der Beek isn't really in that position, so he has to play Fred and McTominay there.
You are right. Donny van de Beek is not a number 6. I agree with you. But what I'm trying to say is you don't need a true number 6 against a team that's going to park the bus. You can just control midfield and actually build up play, etc. You know how you played under Van Gaal. Take that as an example, just a United example. You didn't really need a true CDM to play under him because you defended by controlling possession. By just keeping the ball, you defend. That's actually a form of defense. You keep the ball, you don't allow them to get the ball, and then you just attack them. You pass them till death, and eventually you're gonna get a chance and score a goal. That's basically how it works. Donny van de Beek 100% is not a number 6. 100%.
Under Van Gaal, we played 3 at the back as well, and we also had Morgan Schneiderlin, who played as the holding player. So we did have a holding player. And the second thing, I wanted to talk about the fact that you guys said that against the top 6 teams, we've sort of, Oli hasn't shown any sort of ambition. What I would say is that Pep Guardiola played 2 holding players against Manchester United. When do you ever hear of Pep Guardiola doing that? That doesn't happen.
Rage, that's because I said before that Manchester United play on the front foot, and he's obviously recognised that, and he's obviously tried to counter that. Can I just make an example of probably the thing that polarizes this point completely? Against Brighton, Paul Pogba gave the ball away and stood and watched as Brighton scored. That doesn't happen if he plays under Klopp or Guardiola. He would do that once, and he'd never do it again, or he simply wouldn't play. Because the managers will take that situation in isolation and deal with it. They've got the awareness, they've got the ability, they've got the command of the team to say.
I mean, Thiago did that multiple times for Liverpool.
Would you not argue though that the fact that Pogba has made those mistakes this season is one of the reasons why Ollie wants to play him, but play him on the left and then try and put McFred into the midfield, into the central areas.
Yeah, very
It's
probably.
not one he's also dealing with it.
Yeah.
Because, like we said, yeah, I would say that would be one of the ways that Ollie's
I fully understand that. I fully understand that.
Yeah, I think.
Even so, sorry, when Pogba played for Juve, he had two sitting centre midfielders of a much better quality. He had no defensive responsibilities at all. He basically was an enigma. He just did whatever he wanted, and he was absolutely unique at it. In the English game, you can't let players run off you, and Pogba lets players run off you. That's why Graham Souness digs him out quite a lot, because he would have played beside him as a central midfielder and wouldn't have accepted. No, but he wouldn't accept the lack of discipline. That's his problem with Pogba. There is a lack of discipline, defensive discipline.
And also that he's the best Man United player, and also as a Liverpool man, to dig out to make Man United fans see, and actually some of it is actually really despicable, and because some of our fans believe Graham Souness, and that's why last season they were shouting at him at the end of the season before. But obviously, you know, the memes are there for the reason. They're not there for everybody. Because he genuinely knows Pogba's our best player. So if you target him, it's like the British press. They do it to the best players, whether they're Argentinian, whether they're French. They do it when they're performing a little bit. They target them and they go at them. But you see it with the pundits as well. When English players are making exactly the same kind of mistakes or even more horrendous, they don't say it because they're like, I play for England and he's English. And Gary Neville actually is the only player that's genuinely honest and open to admit it. And he'll say, I'll have a go with Martial because I don't have that affiliation. Oh, Rashford is a Manchester boy. He's like me. So when he plays a bad game, I will have a go. But Graham Souness is that way. He does it in that way.
I've been surprised by
Graham Souness says, by the way. I don't agree with everything Graham Souness says. Yeah. But there is a lack of defensive discipline to Pogba.
No, of course.
So you shouldn't be playing him in those positions where he gets caught. And that's tactically where there is an issue right now. If you go by world-class number 6, and then you let Pogba and Fred do their thing in front of a world-class number 6, that's a completely different.
Well, just look at him in the you know, because obviously the French squad is out. So look at the French squad now. Like he plays with Kante and Pogba. Obviously, Kante can do what he does. And Pogba obviously can play box to box, you know, and support. I think Griezmann, Mbappe, Coman, and Benzema. Shout out to Benzema getting back in the French squad, by the way. I think that means that France are going to be favourites, to be honest. I
need to discuss that, actually. We might
Or we're going to discuss it on the show. Is it going to be next week or something, or some?
I was going to do it tonight, but we've actually been on for like an hour and a half now. So, No, it's been a good discussion, to be fair. I've enjoyed it.
The only thing that I would say about the French and Man United is that France has 20 times better defenders than Manchester United. The problem with our defense, the problem what people think about Manchester United is that we got McFred. McFred are there to protect Maguire and Lindelof. Maguire's got zero pace. Lindelof gets bullied easily.
You say the French. I mean, Longley and Petit.
With France, with France, you've got players that can be left alone on one-on-ones. You've got players that can defend. Varane for France defends one-on-ones at times where France are pushing up, and Pogba also the manager gets something out of him. And I agree with what Steve said before. Before the World Cup, there was a lot of murmurings about Pogba, and the champ was like, "No, I don't care what everybody's saying about him. He has to do as I say. He has to listen to me. He has to be a leader for this team." And Pogba became that leader. Pogba was that disciplined. And at times, actually, it's really interesting because at times, Steve, he can do it because he does do it. Other times, when he's allowed to chase back, he's given away 4 or 5 penalties this season. You know what I mean? He's given away so many penalties. But to me, at Man United, where it changed was that the Tottenham, we got licked 6-1, and then the tactics against the big teams changed. Because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, no word of a lie, I'm telling you guys now, when I study managers, I studied him. He looks shell-shocked, and he actually thought he was going to get sacked. That's why, and I told people right at that moment then, after he spoke, I said, United are going to get defensive against the big teams. You know why? Because that's what trends. That's what gets the big headlines. That's what the talking points is when Man United play the big teams. And the reason why Ole was kept in a job the season before is because his record against the big six. We were one of the best teams against the big six. You know, we drew with Liverpool, but we beat everybody. We beat everybody. The only that we drew with Liverpool.
I mean, we're talking. Let's also get. We're talking about traditional. This whole in quote traditional big six, because I don't consider Arsenal a big six football club anymore, and people use that as a kind of a. Arsenal, no, they're not a big. They're not a big six football club anymore. Let's not talk.
They're not, but it's still a tough game, though.
It's still a big game.
Oh yeah, it is.
What I mean
especially with your history against them. Also, I just have to say with what Nuruddin said, I honestly agree with everything he just said, especially regarding the whole English media bias. And we've seen it with Dean Henderson, the way they pushed him to actually get that goalkeeper spot. It's actually like so obvious to see. And every time Maguire makes a mistake, it's someone else's fault. It's not Maguire's fault because he scored a header in the World Cup. The English media bias is genuinely a thing. It's actually a thing, and it's so obvious to see. The same way that they pushed Henderson to get that goalkeeper spot, the same English media are now pushing for him to not play in the Europa League final because of the mistake he did against Liverpool. And I'm gonna say something regarding Pogba. And honestly, this is just my opinion. In my opinion, Pogba is definitely top 2 midfielders in the league. And with a better manager and with a better system, he would literally win Player of the League. And I actually rate Pogba higher than Bruno based on talent, on what he can do. I think Pogba is actually a brilliant midfielder. And regarding the English media, which with what Nuruddin said, I generally agree with that because you always see it. You always see it. I remember last year against Bournemouth. One of the Bournemouth wingers, I think Stanislas, spun Maguire in the middle of his penalty box. And then they blamed De Gea for not covering his near post. And literally didn't even say one word about Maguire. Okay, but De Gea shouldn't have conceded that. But at the same time, Maguire just got spun in his own box by Stanislas. It's not like he got, it's not like he got spun by Ronaldo. So I agree with everything my man said.
Some respect on Stanislas, though. I've seen him when
come on.
doing that to proper recognize centre halves. I don't mind. My problem with Maguire is never about getting beat. Any player, even like amateurs can rip or can turn to somebody, right? My problem is that he's not as dominant in the corridor, where Van Dijk is so dominant in the corridor, and he organizes everybody else. And the biggest thing when we got beat against Liverpool, everybody was like, Maguire. I'm like, we got beat 3-0 against Roma. Without De Gea, we would have been gone. We would have not been in the final by now. We conceded exactly the same goals. I asked a question on Twitter. What goal? Tell me one goal against Liverpool that Maguire would have stopped. And nobody can come with an answer. Nobody can, because it's all individual mistakes. But the biggest thing I would just say is that I think Man United, it's not just because of our lack of structure. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, there's a bit of me because I hate the Ole in, Ole out kind of what just dominates. Every time we play a game, Twitter and even other fans get involved now because I'm one of those nerds that I go on Twitter and look at who are these burner accounts or are they genuine, right? And half of them are other fans taking them. A lot of City fans, a lot of Liverpool fans, a lot of Arsenal fans all jump on there with their burner accounts are just saying Ole out, right? But the big six this season, it really disappointed me. It really did. And I supported Ole for a long, long time. But because I know the structure is about the football structure of Man United. And it's not all him. And we will never know. That's the thing that hurts me the most because more than anybody, I love for him to win a league. I don't care about Champions League, just to win a league. But we will never find out because we're not that club. We don't have that structure. We don't have that vision. We don't come together like Liverpool did or City did or Chelsea did. That's the one thing I respect about Chelsea. Their owner has 2 or 3 sporting directors that he listens to. Nobody even knows who they are. Other fans don't know. Chelsea fans might know, but we don't know who they are. And that's the biggest thing. They can sack manager. Their model is to sack a manager, bring a manager, win a trophy. They just turn out trophies. And I respect that because the structure's there and we don't have it. And Liverpool, the structure's there and we don't have it.
No, that's fair enough. Before we sort of wrap up on that, I wanted to talk quickly about the Euros. Me and Husam had a conversation about Trent a few hours ago, And we both agreed on this, that we think Trent should be going to the Euros. But I wanted to get your guys' view, because obviously a lot of people were saying, oh, Trent's had a bad season and he shouldn't be going. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Trent should be going?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Got to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I would play him in midfield. Forget about playing him as a right back or a wing back. I would genuinely play him in midfield. He's that good. He absolutely ran the game at Old Trafford. It was
he was brilliant. He was brilliant.
I was just so amazed. The kid that was unconfident, where Rashford turned him inside out and didn't know what he was doing. It was like a kid, like a rabbit in the headlights when he first made his debut at Old Trafford, where Rashford did him. So the kid that came back to Old Trafford was just like, wow. In 2.5 years, he's gone from this to this. And to me, his passing is good as De Bruyne. And that's for me saying a lot.
He's a very good
passer. On the ball, he's the best English player on the ball they have in terms of finding passes. Nobody else can touch it.
He's a number 10 in a 2 shirt. That's what he is.
The thing is, as well, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, I love to banter him if he has a bad game, but everyone says he's had a bad season. With how young Trent is, it's normal for him to have maybe one off season. Especially, he's just set that high standard over the last two and a half years, where he's been at a world-class level. So now people are expecting him to consistently be at that world-class level, and maybe it's a bit unfair. But how he deserves to be there, definitely over Kieran Trippier and over.
My goodness!
And Carl Walker suits how we want to play, but he's a better right back than Carl Walker as well. Reece James. I'm not going to comment on Reece James because I love Reece James, and I might be a bit biased towards Reece James, but he's definitely got to go, 100%.
Yeah,
if Southgate plays his back three, he can, like he has done. He can afford to play. He has done before. Play Walker as his right-sided centre back. There's your wing back. There's your wing back right there. That's your man to play as your wing back.
I think what's
more annoying about all this? What's more annoying about all this is Southgate is actually sitting in the stand when Trent had his best 2 games this season. I don't know. I feel like I'm about to preach because it just pisses me off so much. But I just have to speak on it. Southgate was there twice when Trent scored the winner against Villa, and then when Trent won man of the match against Man United, biggest rivals, away in a game we won 4-2, and then he thinks to himself, no, Trippier is better. This is just what pisses me off. In my opinion, Southgate genuinely, England are honestly wasting another golden generation on just the international version of Mikel Arteta. He's basically just another Wenger and Eriksen, who literally, this is honestly what's happening. I'm not even just saying this because of Trent. Your last friendly game, you played Albania, and you played 2 defensive midfielders against Albania. And it's the same story that's been happening when the golden generation was around, when you had all the attacking talent and you just don't know what to do with it. If you look at the English players right now, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, Rashford, Foden, Mount, Maddison. I could go on.
Even Lingard is balling now as well.
Even Lingard, exactly. And what would Southgate eventually do? Play 2 DMs, 5 at the back, park the bus. And at the end of the day, just to address Trent specifically, people love to hang on to Trent can't defend. First of all, that's a myth. Second of all, when you talk about international football, the international game is so much slower than the Premier League. When you watch international football, you're not watching end-to-end stuff. You're not watching attack after attack. It's very slowed down, 10 times slower. So it's not like Trent is just going to get bombarded on his side every 3 seconds. That just doesn't happen. At the end of the day, international football is slower, and actually that suits Trent more. Just look at it from this perspective. England are defending. Trent gets the ball, 40-yard pass. Rashford is one-on-one with the goalkeeper. That's how easy it is for Trent. Who can do that with the ball? No one. But eventually, Southgate, his decisions, his favoritism, all this will come back to bite him. And if he doesn't take Trent, I hope they just lose every single game in the Euros and get knocked out of the group stage because it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
If Pep Guardiola or Klopp were managing England will win the Euros, 100%.
Yes.
And even at the World Cup.
Not even Pep Guardiola. I think even an Eddie Howe just in the way that Eddie Howe would play. Because if you look at Bournemouth, the way they played, they didn't set up as a very defensive, park the bus. They were always quite creative, expansive. I generally think so. Realistically, those two managers wouldn't manage England. But if you gave Eddie Howe the England job, I think he'd manage his current squad of players better than Gareth Southgate in terms of getting whatever. Because the style of play that they would play, you're not going to play. I personally, for me, I don't actually understand what Eric Dyer has done to deserve a spot in this England squad. I have no idea what he
No
has
one knows
done
that.
to what is he? I mean, obviously Henderson is still injured, isn't he? If I'm correct, so he's probably not going to go to Euro. So that's obviously that's a problem, And then you're thinking, okay, is there anyone holding that? You've got Declan Rice. So Declan Rice to me would start ahead of Dyer in that central defense midfield anyway. And then you don't have to play two. If you want to play 4-3-3, you can play Mount, you can play whatever, with the midfield. You don't have to play Dyer there. But it's like you're saying, it's like it just seems that against smaller teams, he's gonna play with three at the back, with in quote wing backs, which aren't really wing backs because they're not really going forward and creating chances. They're just so it's basically five at the back. So and then you have Kane who needs, obviously
Service.
to service, so that's the word,
Yeah.
which he's not going to get. So I don't really, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Can I just say something controversial? I would actually play three. I would play five at the back, and I would play. Hear me out. I will play James and Walker in those three at the back because Harry Maguire needs pace around him. And I've seen James play two games in the past 4 or 5 days for Chelsea as a centre back, and he was fantastic.
You mean left centre back, right centre back?
I couldn't believe he's that aware for that young age. He was miles above the other two centre halves. They're more experienced centre halves.
He's going to play Stones, though, isn't he? He's going to play Stones for Maguire, isn't he?
And he's going to play Dyer and Phillips. Like we already know, this conversation is very exciting when we think of the attacking options. You could play Grealish and Mount in a number 8. You could
He's
play
not going to play
right
Grealish.
wing. I know, which is even more disgusting than him not taking Trent. But I'm not because the thing is we're speaking about so much talent. Like honestly, if you I swear to God, I don't know why this rides me off. I'm not even English, but at the end of the day, look, if you take all that English team and just make a team and put them in the Premier League, they could literally win the league. They can smash it. That's how good English options are. And as Nuruddin pointed out, you could play two like Kyle Walker and Reece James in those right centre back, left centre back position. There are so many options: 4-3-3, 3-5-2, 5-3-2, so many different things. But what's going to happen at the end? He's going to play Trippier right back. He's going to play Kyle Walker right centre back. And it's just the same stuff. Pickford's going to be in goal. If Henderson wasn't injured, it'll be Dyer and Henderson. And because he has no shame, he'll probably play Lingard in front of them. So it's the same thing. It's just, there's no hope with this guy. There's no hope. And you're just wasting another golden generation, honestly, with Southgate. That's
if I'm being honest, Graham Potter, I think could be a good fit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even Graham Potter. Yeah, I even agree. We're talking about world class. They don't even need a world-class top manager. You can just get, like I said, an Eddie Howe, Graham Potter, or something like that. Any manager that recognizes that, you know what, we don't have to play defensive football, very defensive football, to win games and to recognize the talent that they have. And unfortunately, but he got to a semi-final of the World Cup last, so maybe if the draws work, I'm not saying that it's all on him, but I'm just saying that with the quality of teams that are in the Euro and with the way the draws work, I still won't be surprised if England still managed to get to a semi-final, for example. Not necessarily win it, but given the teams that are there, it's still within the realms of reason that they should reach a semi-final minimum of the quality they have, regardless.
You saying Southgate got to semi-final is like you saying Oli finished second. Like it's kind of the same.
It's irrelevant. I know.
It's the same vibe. Like he got to a semi-final. Where who did you guys play? Honestly, till you actually arrived to the semi-final, I think it was Tunisia, Panama, Sweden, Like, and as soon as you faced someone serious, you got eliminated. Like,
The hardest
like
team
come
we
on.
the hardest team we played. Well, we lost to Belgium in the group stage, but we beat Colombia, and that was
Yeah.
apart from
But
Belgium in
we're
the group.
talking we're talking about the Euros, though. I mean, like Portugal won the Euros and they finished third in their group.
Yeah, they got the wild card rule, didn't they? They got through due to the wild card rule.
So they sort of went through, and despite the fact that they got bantered by Hungary and was it Iceland, I think, in their group.
Yeah,
so
they got 3 draws in the group stage.
Exactly. So all I'm saying is that, like, although we're bantering, and I agree with the panel, we're right. It's just the nature of the competition and the teams there, and obviously who England face. Like Greece obviously won it in 2004, so there's still a feasible way for England to basically get to, say, a semi-final. Because to be honest, aside from France, possibly Portugal, there aren't really.
Don't sleep on Italy.
Okay. But that's the thing. Like, out of how many teams are there? You can maybe think of 4. I can think, right, these are favorites. Because Germany under Lau are a bit of a mess right now, to be honest. Spain are nowhere near what they were in terms of peak Spain. And the Netherlands, I don't even know what the Dutch. I don't even know what is it. Frank de Boer.
There's some talented players.
It's talented there, but Frank de Boer is a clown, to be honest. But right now,
Belgium, maybe.
Wait a second. There's a question here for the panel. Who's your favorite? Who's your favorites for the Euros?
France.
Jack, can you ask the question?
France. When I saw France's squad, I was like, "This is over. Everyone just pack your bags and go home."
Now that Benzema has been recorded, it's over. But
have you actually seen France's starting XI? Have you actually seen their starting 11? Like, it's actually mental. Like, that's the strongest team I've seen since the '98 World Cup or the 2002 World Cup. Like, that's how strong that team is. Honestly, I think France are definitely going to win it.
Not all the time the best squads don't win the World Cup. And you know what? I know it's mad. You know what? I could imagine Germany doing a mad one, because we can never we can never bet against the Germans. It's about tournaments. It's about tournament. Italy, you can never bet because it's always these type of teams that win it. Because you can never bet against them because he knows that they've got the mentality. Steve was talking about mentality before. The Germans and the Italians.
Have you seen Germany's group? You've seen the group that Germany are in.
Yeah, they're
France, Portugal, and the last one is who's the last team? Hungary. Like that's actually not like you're saying that Germany could be madness. Like, I could say that Germany could easily finish bottom of that group because France are good. Portugal, the squad they have with obviously Fernandes, Mona Silva, and the Water and all the rest of it, and Hungary. A lot of teams to be trifled with. Like, they are a very good team if you look at Hungary with the way they play. So, just as well you say that Germany could win it, they could also finish bottom and get eliminated because all those 3 teams, to a lesser extent in a one-off game, could beat Germany with the squad they have right now. Especially if you've got a guy called Werner who misses an open goal against North Macedonia. As your main man, as your current striker, and is obviously open goals to North Macedonia, losing to them. So
the only thing that makes me think, because it's that we've seen Germany doing these kind of things, not playing that well, and get to a tournament, and it's a totally different level and different story. It's only because I've seen it for so many tournaments.
Like, they finished in the last World Cup, by the way. 2002 World Cup, same story with Germany. England beat them 5-1, I think, in the qualifiers, wasn't it?
But they finished last in the last. They finished bottom of their group in the last World Cup.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the 2002 World Cup. The same thing which Nuruddin is talking about, like very unexpected German, like reaching the final. Germany, I don't think anyone expected it with with Germany.
2002, nobody expected it. It was Michael Ballack.
Yes.
Michael Ballack. Yes. So. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's these kind of powerhouses. And I think Spain, they're playing more of a different team now other than having superstars. You know what? They're getting decent results. But we'll have to see. The biggest thing is that nobody knows. We'll have to see. But I can't see, nobody can look past. But Italy as well, people are sleeping on Italy because I think they're building a really fascinating and interesting team.
My problem,
all these teams you guys mentioned, if they play England are out anyway. So.
And even Holland, I think Holland as well. I think if Van Dijk comes back, I think Holland, because
Van
they
Dijk's not going.
Yeah, he ruled himself out. He ruled himself
Officially
out.
he's going to the Euros.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a day ago they announced it. I think
Yeah.
if he went to the Euros, that would actually be a totally game changer, total game changer.
Yeah.
But I don't think he actually announced he's not going because he came back from an ACL as well, which is probably the worst injury in sports to get. So to be
Also, I
honest,
think
I came here for smoke, but at the end of the day, everyone said we should take Trent, so I calmed down a bit. And then I just told my opinion on Southgate. I swear I was waiting for someone to go like, no, we shouldn't take Trent. He can't defend, blah, blah. I was ready with the arguments, but everyone here is like, yes,
this is grounded football. There's logical people.
Listen,
Yes.
Habibi, listen,
Thank
Habibi,
God.
listen.
Yes, Habibi.
I'm saying we cannot even play him in defense. Why play? He is good enough to play in England midfield. I can't stress this enough. He is good enough to play as a 3, right? To play on the right-hand side of the 3, and England to play 4-3-3. He's good enough. He's so good enough to play because he's like the passes, like you said, you can already see. He's just got that where he can spot something and switch the game, switch the play. And he'll have time as well. International football, he'll have time to switch it. But exactly. On here, I'm so impressed by Reece James. Honestly, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, he's developed quite well this season. Another question for the panel: Who will be the standout player / young player of the tournament, and will hence get a big move to a big club? There's always one, to be fair.
Yeah, there is always one, and it's always unexpected, so I can't really predict it, to be honest. It's always some unexpected guy no one ever hears of, and then he just goes and scores 6
by
goals.
young player, we're talking about less than 20, 21. Like, what's our definition of young player? Just
I'd
like
say probably
emerging.
Under 23s, maybe under 23s.
Yeah.
Then, like Mbappe, obviously is under that. It's in that category, but you say Mbappe is already established, really. So you wouldn't really put Mbappe in this question, if they much like even like Rashford. Technically, Rashford is 23 now, I think, isn't he?
But he is established as well, right?
He's established as well.
I'm saying, so I guess I'm saying, like, if you exclude all the established young players, if that makes any sense, and if we're talking about newer players, like so, for example, like I actually think that that Gareth Southgate should take Saka to the Euros. I think Saka would be because he's. If you're going to make a Trent argument, let's say that he shouldn't come. The only Trent argument makers would be Saka, just because I think that Saka is a bit more versatile than Trent, in the sense that he can play right back, but he can also play right wing, fullback, etc. And so if he was going to say, I'm taking Saka over Trent, I'd go, actually, you know what? I think that's based on what Saka has done for Arsenal and basically making sure Arsenal not a relegation for the team. I think that's a reasonable shout over Trent given the season.
You know who I take?
Saka is a reasonable shout, just not over Trent. I would take Saka 100% as well.
Not over Trent. You know who I would take? You know who I like actually as a midfield player? The other kid that saved Arsenal.
Or Emil Smith-Rowe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take him.
I wouldn't take him either.
Maybe not just.
I love how with all these options we're mentioning, at the end of the day, we know the end story. Like
But the thing is with Emil Smith-Rowe is that he's just massively outclassed by the other options. There's no point taking him.
Yeah,
I mean,
to be fair, you know what? To be fair, but I never know actually his position. Is he a number 10 or is he a number 8? What does he play? That's what I was thinking as a number 8. I wasn't thinking of him as a guy who's going to play up in the forward positions. I was thinking of him as a number 8 because he actually works really hard and he gets stuck in when he plays for Arsenal. That's
we have to, given where Arsenal are right now, but it's just a try.
I think I could play for Arsenal right now. But before, when you said about you said Gareth Southgate is like, I thought you were going to say like Ollie.
No. Not going to disrespect Ollie like that. Ollie is levels.
No. Only because you're the 2 holding midfielders. When you've got such a depth, if Ollie had that level of attacking players with the Grealish, and he played with 2 holding, I think there'll be riots, and I'll be starting the riots on Old Trafford.
Yes. Thank you. Preach. Against Albania as well. Like it's not like you're playing Brazil in the World Cup final and you need to park the bus. You're just playing a friendly, bro. Try something. Play something offensive for once. Just give it a go. Nothing's going to happen. They won't sack you if you lose a friendly. No one cares about friendlies. North Macedonia beat Germany and nothing happened because it's a friendly. You're meant to try stuff. And then he plays 2 defensive midfielders. And we all know the end result. 2 defensive midfielders, 3-5-2, Kane and Sterling up front. Like, it's just the same movie. We can't expect anything else from the international
I just
Arteta.
want to answer. I just want to answer the question. I think what the question might have been. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they're saying what young player could sparkle that. Obviously, we don't know about Foden in this country, but internationally, could this be Foden's tournament? If God forbid, if City go on to win the Champions League, could get more confident.
God forbid.
God forbid. God
You're
forbid.
you're making the assumption that Southgate will play him.
Yeah,
Do you know-
exactly. I don't think he's going to
Do
play
you know
him.
what's disappointing though, especially with a squad, even the French squad, France, if they picked a couple of young players that deserve to play, for example,
Fofana.
you've got Fofana, or you've got, for example, Adrien Rabiot, who's one of the worst midfielders that unfortunately plays for a top club in Europe, and Moussa Sissoko. You could take Kamara from Marseille, who's better than Sissoko at Spurs, and you could take, I don't know, a player like Husam or Tchouaméni over Rabiot, and they could have that platform to shine. But he doesn't.
You know what's crazy? Actually, looking at the French midfield, I mean, obviously Pogba and Kante are in there, but like Will said, some of the other options are pretty damn atrocious, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. There's and Ndombele got left out as well, didn't he? And Ndombele got left out.
But I actually don't listen. I actually don't rate. I actually think Deschamps is just another kind of Southgate that got lucky with incredible amount of talent. I don't actually think he's a football attacking football manager. I think
he played on the counter as well in the World Cup. He played counter-attacking football.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong.
He plays efficient football.
Efficient football,
Oh my God, I forgot about Bellingham. Bellingham's got to go.
Yeah, Bellingham.
Bellingham has to play. Bellingham cannot.
He's not going.
Southgate doesn't play. If
Southgate is not going.
Play Bellingham in one of the as a number 8, is a rap, people.
He's not going there, Dean. It's not.
That's why I said just sack him on the spot, man. Just sack him right now. You have a golden generation. Use it correctly.
If we're talking about,
always laughed at me because when Jose was giving us that absolute atrocious football, I was screaming out for Eddie Howe, and every time when Bournemouth were doing bad, everybody just gets at me. Yeah, you said Eddie Howe. I'm like, it's not Eddie Howe. So he doesn't have a bench. Eddie Howe and even Graham Potter, they're footballing people. And I honestly, if Ollie was ever to get the chuck, I would take Graham Potter or Eddie Howe at Old Trafford. I would, because of the football. Because I want to see that football. Win, lose, or draw. I want to see exciting football. I'm so starved of it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Definitely hear that.
If we're talking about non-English young players, though, I think if we're talking about a step up now the time, it's got to be João Felix. João Felix has got to be as someone who was outed as being talented, one of the best, and I still think he is talented. I just think he's kind of being restricted by Simeone's system, because when he's been allowed to go and do his thing, he's been great. So I think potentially, I mean, I know the Portugal manager is also quite defensive as well, but you never know. Maybe this might, especially with the squad that Portugal have, because they've got a very good squad. I think Diaz is Portuguese, I think, as well. Obviously,
yeah,
Bruno,
they've got Cancelo.
They've still got Ronaldo playing as well. You know he's going to be scoring goals.
Exactly.
If Felix has a great Euros, he'd be the perfect option for Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, because then suddenly thinking, bro, he wins obviously the league with Atletico Madrid, and then he's a star for Portugal in the Euros, and then suddenly thinking, oh, hang on a minute, maybe it's an extreme, but certainly on the Ballon d'Or shortlist. I think if that was to happen. If he had a very good Euros in combination with the fact that they won the league.
That's what the Euros usually end up doing. Like they end up adding like 5-6 players to the Ballon d'Or shortlist based on what they did in the Euros. The thing is, the problem with Felix, I think, because he plays for Portugal, Ronaldo will always take the shine away from that. I think.
Yeah,
that's
It's going to be very interesting. Actually, it's going to be a very interesting. Is Ronaldo still Ronaldo? I'm the best. Give me the ball all the time. Or is Ronaldo going to be that elder statesman, that kind of saying, you know what? I'm handing it over now. You know what I mean? Is he that role? But the other thing is that I wanted to say about I lost my point. I wanted to make a point about how they play the football, because you know what, when international football is on, I hardly ever watch other teams. But you know, one thing I was saying, could you imagine England-Germany final and Werner shuts all of you doubters up. Werner has an absolute worldie and takes Germany to the final. Could you imagine that? Of all the stick he's taken this season.
And then he wins the Champions League for Chelsea before that, ends up winning Ballon d'Or as well. But that would be perfect.
Oh gosh, oh gosh, that's
If Werner won the Ballon d'Or, it would signal the end for football.
Yes,
yeah.
we should just call it a day and start watching basketball instead.
No. I don't think he's that bad, honestly. It's surreal because as a Chelsea fan, I can imagine you watch everything, every movement, every game, every chance. But as a Man United fan, and when I look at it from the outside, he gives you such a... Chelsea needed that dimension because... And the contrast between him and Giroud, and I always rate Giroud. I think Giroud is a fantastic technical footballer. What Giroud does for France is amazing. Giroud is special. But in terms of the lack of pace, when we played Chelsea, we went halfway line because Giroud, because, you know what I mean? We were brave, and that is Lindelof and Maguire went halfway line. You know what I mean? At Stamford Bridge against Werner, no way, not in the hell chance are we going halfway line.
It makes you wonder, innit? If even a tactician like Tuchel doesn't bring on Werner at half time, what chance do a lot of the managers have really when it comes to making tactical changes? Because we know Tuchel is very much like that. He's one of those managers, who's rated for his sort of tactical nous. Mm-hmm. And not bring on Werner in that game much sooner was pretty crazy to me. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. But guys, we've been live for 2 hours.
Wow.
So yeah, thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah.
So shout out. I want you to shout out all your ats and whatnot because I want you guys to get as much support as you can in your channels. So we'll start off with Husam. Where can they find you?
My channel is called This Is Football. It's a general football channel. Even though I support Liverpool, it's not just Liverpool-related content. It's for all fans. All fans are welcome. You can find me on Twitter, Don Husam6. 6 refers to us having 6 Champions League titles, the most in England, obviously. So find me there.
Nuruddin?
I just want to puke when he mentions that. But that guy, Red Devil on Twitter, United Real Therapy. I'm new in that to the sense of the YouTube game in terms of having my own channel. So it's we have conversations about structure. I'm more interested in the structures of football and how it's not just the players and the manager that wins you a league. It's about what's behind them as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. RDS?
Yep. So obviously, it's Red Devil Studio. That's Red Devil Studio, just YouTube channel. Manchester United fan, although I do cover other teams from time to time. I'm on Twitter at WeAreUnitedX, and obviously I'm on this show week on a Wednesday, which I'm really enjoying. So yeah, head over to my channel and follow me on Twitter.
Awesome stuff. We enjoy having you as well.
Right.
Will, let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Will_CFC_, and I'm also part of KH No Filter Football, which the app for the Twitter. I got it wrong for the whole show, but oh well. It's at KH No Filter. So you can follow the account there.
Thank you. Prime, are you alive?
I think he's gone.
Yeah, I think he's fallen asleep, bless him.
No, I can hear the whole show. I've just been watching and listening. First of all, can we just give Rachel a round of applause? She did an amazing job tonight.
Oh, cheers, guys. Thank you, Prime.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you can find me on here on the channel. I'm on the Terrace. I'm on the Nexus. And just catch me on Twitter as well. So yeah,
definitely follow Prime on Twitter. He's the biggest troll going. If I'm being perfectly honest with you.
I'm not a troll. I have feelings.
Okay. But anyway, thank you guys for watching and good night.
It's very interesting that Rachel's never done a show before and she's done 2-hour show.
Yeah, it's been great.